The first thing I would tell the parent is, what's the harm in getting an evaluation done? It's for your own benefit and for your child's benefit to get that evaluation done and get answers. Because when you have answers, you're able to then proactively go ahead and get your child the services or the therapy that they need. So whether it's speech therapy or occupational therapy or just, mental health therapy, because obviously if you're suspecting something, they need that help. And the longer you take to get them that help, the harder it is to remediate that as they get older.
What would you say to a parent that's worried about their child being labeled in some way through the eval?
Well, if you're worried about that label, you don't have to worry about a label, right? The evaluation is for you. Who you share that information with, that's on you as a parent. So you don't have to share that with anybody, but the label does not define who your child is.
Sure.
Your child is who they are, and they just happen to have this diagnosis. So for example, a child with autism, having autism does not define who they are as a person. It is just part of who they are. And so you have to learn to manage the autism and then provide them with the right services so that, again, once they turn 18, they're able to go out and function in the world, whether it's hold down a job, socialize and make friends, be able to be independent as much as possible.
Yeah, something that I find a lot with my families is when they find out what their diagnosis is, it's an initial blow sometimes, right? But then that's the worst part. And then quickly it's like, okay, accept that it is what it is. Now you work on it and it's somewhat empowering to them. And there's this really corny thing that I saw in the beginning of COVID. It was an interview, I don't know if it was PBS, but it was kids asking astronauts question while COVID was happening, because they were the only people on Earth who not freaking out about COVID, because it's no way is it going to be there. But the little girl asked the astronaut, what do you guys do when you're scared? And he said, as a scientist, we approach it with we have to solve this problem.
Right.
So the first part of it is understanding the problem. And in understanding the problem, you start to make peace with what's going on and kind of snap into more logical, rational thinking as opposed to overly emotional and freaking out. So it somewhat grounds you to figure out these symptoms are attributed to this type of diagnosis and this is why it happens, which is another thing that I tell my kids all the time. You're not your ADHD. ADHD is a small part of something that you have to deal with. It's not your fault that you have it, but it's your responsibility to fix it.